Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ECL Season 48. North America's looking good as we shape up and go further on into the season. Tonight, nothing too otherworldly. Nouns and Limitless in a team, or rather a matchup that I feel like we've all got a hunch on where it's going to go. However, I won't say it's going to be without its surprises.
Definitely not. I'm going on hour 7 of casting right now, and I couldn't be more than happy to be back in North America for it. I'm happy to be here and witness how this will unfold. Two teams that me and you are probably extremely familiar with, but the general public might not be with how the Limitless new look might be. This is not the same team as last season. Not even close. It's a Frankenstein's monster of two ECL teams, really, at this point.
Yeah, Carpe Diem kind of being the star of the show in that sense, the ones coming through at least in the most forefront. You've got Wiz, I think you've got Sab, and I believe alongside that it's Wolfie coming through from Carpe
Correct,
Diem.
with two F's and an E.
Ooh. Well, regardless, still, doesn't matter how you spell it, hasn't shaped up all that well, no matter what way you orient it, because so far, Limitless, it's been quite the struggle. I will say it's an unfortunate struggle as you take a look at the teams they've played. Every single one of them, you're like, yeah, you know what? I kind of understand it. They've already gone up against Wildcard. They've already gone up against NRG, two of the strongest teams in the bracket. Well, you kind of expect it to go the way it did. Party Astronauts, maybe I'm not going to say it's a bad loss because it's not. Party Astronauts are still at the top echelon of this entire event, but it is kind of a different step, and still, it went about the same way. It's been very, very rough for them so far in ECL, to say the very least. And then you look at it from Nouns' perspective, we've only dropped one map. It's kind of hard to paint it as something else.
No, it's been rocky. If there is any sort of a silver lining to what you were just mentioning, is the fact that most recently, having played up against NRG themselves, actually, Nouns lost 0-2, but it was a really, really tight game, Anthony. It could have been a 2-0 in the other direction, in all honesty. It was 13-11 for NRG, and then 16-14, an overtime affair in the second map, so they're about on par.
Yes.
If maybe not a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending on the day, than an NRG at the top side of the bracket already. So if we're going to spell a story of Limitless having faced what are effectively the top 3 teams in the season in general, if not contenders for that, this isn't really going to be a great feeling. I hope going towards the final stretches of the first quarter, or the first half or so of the season in general.
One big thing for me, at least, that can kind of fancy Limitless as time goes on, is the fact that you're getting your toughest opponents out of the way pretty much instantly. Yeah. Like Nouns, I'd almost say you're running it back against one of the teams that we spoke of earlier that we already saw Limitless go into against, and you wonder maybe you get an uptick, right? You get a lot of trial and error as this season starts off. Yeah. We'll look a little bit further into the graphics we've got to show off and really start to discuss some things. But for Limitless, you're playing almost every team. I believe you play every team in the bracket, or pretty much almost all of them. You've still got so many games left in the season, so this can be very forgiving. I mean, remember, we got a 16-team bracket. You've got 10 teams who are destined for playoffs. There is really no way you're out of it for a very, very long time. So already got rid of your NRGs. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You already got rid of Wildcard. You already got rid of Party Astronauts. Now you've got Nouns. Maybe you've gained some collective knowledge that can carry you through into this and maybe help it look a bit better. I believe on the other stream, we've got Party Astronauts and Fluffy Aimers. So still, I think that one's quite competitive. But for Limitless, they're going to have to show what's competitive. The ball is really in their court to start making us believe a little bit more, which I'd also kind of say maybe helps you. You got that underdog mentality going in. You're not really going in being like, you know what, we're the favorites. What's so wrong with that? You could play with a little bit of fire and maybe swindle a couple of rounds away from Nouns. Maybe try to make a map a little more competitive, because so far their tenure in ECL has left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, and that's what kind of confuses me about this, is that Wiz and Tender, they have to play 8 games with this team. 8 games with 2 subs, one of them being your AWP player? I don't really know. This has to be a 2-season project, if to make any sense of it, heads or tails, because to go down the stretch of a season and potentially have 8 matches under your belt with already 6 being done. This is the last 2 that they're going to be playing. Already 6 losses. That's going to be a little bit of a pain. If you get up to 8 now at this point, it's going to be even harder for you to climb back. Almost definitely in auto relegation territory for them. I don't know. I hope that team that they put together is practicing on the off time that they do have in preparation for the rest of the season, because as you say, like 8-8 is like the bar that they need to set themselves for primarily in order to either A, get into playoffs for one, or B, just ensure that they can play into the next season.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think the lowest win rate that got into ECL playoffs last season was 9-7. I could be wrong on that. I think I might have to fact check myself here momentarily. But it's not anything outlandish for Limitless to worry about just yet. But I am still on the same kind of boat as you. Whilst there is still plenty of the season left to go, you got to put something on the board. Even if you don't come away with a map today, I want to see something that gives me hope for the remainder of this roster. It's hard to vouch for because, as we spoke of, this is kind of the amalgamation of a couple of different ex-ECL teams, maybe ex-advanced teams, ex-advanced ECL players that have played together before, or at least I believe the core of three have in, you know, as I said earlier, Seb, Tender, and Wolfie, or Seb, Wiz, and Wolfie, but it hasn't done much for them, right? It almost feels like it's foreign. It almost feels like we've never seen them play with each other. Like the rounds really aren't replicating it, which is why it's such a double-edged sword. You've got your big teams out of the way now, sure, but you've racked up all these losses early on in games that you might consider dead for Limitless. And for what, right? You might not have a lot to show for it. Again, I don't think 8-8 is going to completely eliminate you from the playoff contention, to be honest, but I still don't want to see it guaranteed that that's their best result today. It's hard. You got a tough draw against Nouns. Maybe the veto goes to paint something differently. But in totality, Nouns kind of pull the ball field on every step of it. We'll take a look at those vetoes as maybe it determines something a little further. Nouns, it's a hard team to fight. They play a 7-map pool. They don't mind taking you anywhere, to be completely honest with you. But the first one leads us to the sense of Mirage, where maybe individuals can shine and maybe a miracle can happen.
Hard maybe. Nouns are crushing on that map lately. Excuse me. They have let very, very few and far between games slip against teams that you may expect them to be taken deep on, but your M80s, your Elevates, your Legacies even, these are teams that you're expecting them to have a hard time up against, but when it comes to crushing out the rest, they've beaten your M80s as well in their all-festive one. They've beaten your NRGs. They've beaten even your party astronauts who are close enough by. They actually have a winning record against your NRGs. So you look at talk about the individuals. Man, Nouns is an individual team. This isn't a team that has a strap book that's going to be reaching the depths of hell. This isn't a team that has players that are going to be making decisions and big braining on you 10 times out of 10. This is a team of players that look to shoot and they look to kill. They want those fights, and they're going to take them every day of the week up against a team like Limitless, who might not exactly have the protocols in place on their CT side. That is an absolute catastrophe. And there's one player who's going to be taking those duels, and you better believe it. It is going to be our player to watch for it. Anthren, it's none other than Junior.
Yeah, man. I mean, the one thing that really separates Nouns from other North American teams is the fact that they can play all stents of life in Counter-Strike. It's not just some massive, you know, individuals run out there and shoot people and win a game kind of team. Sometimes they play with chaos. Sometimes they go for opening picks and it doesn't work. But the one thing I love about seeing some of these top North American teams is you don't need it to, right? They have such good bounce backs, such good things to do beyond that protocols that it doesn't matter, right? You don't need somebody to go out and find 3 picks to win a round. You'll just have anybody at it. You'll
just
force
have
their
anyway
hand.
sometimes,
I was going to
most of the
say it,
time.
right? Like, Nouns are just so good at working the board on every single step of it, from the CT perspective, from the T perspective, on both sides, from their lurks, from their entries. Like, it almost feels like they rule at every step of the way, in every kind of facet that you could imagine. And that's what makes a team like Nouns so deadly, because as time goes on, they're only getting better and better. Nouns, I feel like currently are playing some of the best Counter-Strike they've ever played as a team. They have their demons. I mean, Legacy has been a struggle for them specifically, but again, we're always looking at teams who should be struggling against them, right? They're not really a team that's going to get upset. They're not really a team that's punched up from below the belt, and that's what's so difficult about it. Now, we already talked about it, our predictions. Nouns, quite handedly, not really a shock. I think we both kind of ride that belt.
Yeah, we're both going for Nouns on this one, in and out. I mean, they've bolstered their lineup with all the firepower that they've needed in the last 2 years or so. They've bolstered it now with some veteranship, some, I guess, how you can say, controlled aggression in Rush is what I was going for there. Somebody who knows when and when not to, with a lot more to offer in and outside of the server than just that, as well as in their coaching staff, with Adren now taking on the reins as head coach and trying to keep this team level-headed as well as in the game mentally, whether it be in terms of the emotions or in terms of just the game plan and making sure that they know that what they have to do is the right thing. And that's not something that Limitless have to offer for a team that isn't actually their first 5 players. That's not something that they're really going to be able to put up into these matches. Sure, they are players who are pretty autonomous in their own regard anyways, but that's not really going to be anything in terms of a talking point for us right now. And we're looking towards Cyrix and Sandman era of Limitless following these two.
Which is really cool, right? Because I feel like it's been quite some time since we've seen Cyrix actually, step up to the plate, or not in a bad sense, but since he's had that opportunity to. And I remember back when Cyrix was playing actively, when he was kind of the talk of the town, when he was making a name for himself, and then kind of, I'm not going to say disappeared, but not really the forefront of everybody's thoughts anymore. Sandman, I've loved seeing him bounce around, not necessarily from team to team, but from league to league. I think he's potentially up next on the docket. I like what he's shown. I think there's a lot of promise to players like him. And I think the synopsis of this whole Limitless team is promise. Promise for the future, promise for what it's going to look like soon. But as you said, it's kind of hard to imagine it working out right this second with the hiccups we've got to jump over through in this season. This is going to be a long-term project, and this is going to be a team that I think inevitably says to themselves, we got to play for the next season. We kind of have to play this 2-season plan. We have to avoid relegation here. The goals are set pretty low. We want to make sure we keep our spot. And I almost want to say not even necessarily about playoffs, but to avoid any form of having to fight against relegation. You've got your insta-relegation. You've got the relegation tournament you might have to play in. Those are both things you want to be nowhere near if you're Limitless. But when you look at some of the scopes and teams in this side of play, it's hard to match them up 1-to-1 against any of these teams and say, you know what? I think they've clearly got this spot over them. If anything, they might be battling against some of the bottom teams to stay away from that sense. So I can't really put it in other words than that. Nouns, this would be their game to lose 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with that much. I don't think there really is much more to say on that. It's really just going to be a matter of whether or not we can see the Nouns that we come to expect without them making hiccups, because I feel like if they do lose this game, it's going to be on their own volition. I don't really think it is going to be anything more than them outplaying themselves in a lot of these instances, if at all. I think that's what we have to look towards for Limitless also to abuse a little bit. Are they going into this with more of a vibe mentality and outlook as to this is the last dance, so to speak, right, for the two of these players? And then where from there, I'm not entirely sure for them. I believe Wiz is going back to studying for school, and Wolfie, I'm not sure what his next project is, but I'm pretty sure he has, or not Wolfie, excuse me, Tender. I don't know what Tender's next project is, but I'm sure he's got something on the back lines that he can look to get done. But either way, I'm excited to see how this one will unfold for the side of Nouns and to honestly get my first look onto them as a team, my only look onto them in the season so far.
Obviously, stories are still to be told for teams like Nouns. Laid a lot out for Limitless. The groundwork is there. They get the start on the CT side to try and kick things off after, I believe, a knife round victory. It's only Seb to defend the A site, looking strong with the first kill on George, but the trade's superb, and they lock it down in the 4-on-4.
Ready for them to get that bomb down, and Carson just awaiting the shots to come from that catwalk and attempt out the bomb plan. And once it does, that's when he'll activate, and Wiz's Julius can do no right. DJF, same spot, spotted 2 players looking to space themselves on top of him, and he's maybe crashed?
That's not good. That's quite the way to kick off your map. From bad to worse, that hurts. But I also don't know if he's crashed. I'm not seeing a tech pause just yet. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was going to say.
Some sort of an issue, I hope.
Gotta be. Really?
I thought for a second he was like, they didn't see me.
The most weird trigger discipline you've ever seen. Nah. Seems there was an issue. Good call out there. But now I also wonder if it's even on them. Like, there's like 4 players right now not moving. I don't know what to think of this.
This was pretty important place to be as well on your CT side. Start that one off. Just a round win could have been something good. Seb, though, locked down after his first pick. Jiggling from the box. The utility from Nouns was put in place with the exact idea of keeping away any vision, any line of sight to deny them of a cross. They get it easy.
He kind of did his job.
Yep. Oh, he did, yeah.
Issue is, it's just such a hard push to stop with the defense that was offered up for Limitless. It can be why pistol rounds feel almost random at some points, but just the way it goes, you had the, I don't know, the good looks from Sab and CT, but when you're at the ticket spot, when you've got 4 people coming out of Palace, you're not getting that cross. You're not backing away. It's just unlucky, really, at the end of the day. So, at least he got his one, but the round count won't go to show it. In fact, it's just going to be a full save from Limitless. Nothing too fancy. SMG's not even a big story of Nouns either, so not to worry about losing too much cash, giving away kills to a MAC-10. Instead, it'll just be long-range Galils and AKs in mid.
They know it's on their way now. It's a whole lot of USBs. That flashbang and the second one to boot a little later actually does catch DJ off guard just that little bit there, and Carson's already low enough to where one bullet could finish the job. And 2 deaths is pretty significant. I think one more could be a lot in the way of economic issues that Limitless won't have to worry about.
I don't think they go back in for this. Yeah, I was going to say, this round turns from exit hunting to save real quick, because while 2 Galils aren't, you know, the crown jewel of a CT side buy, going into this 3rd round, you already have so many obstacles to try and battle against as a CT after losing the pistol. You're going to have minimal utility. You're going to have lackluster kits, and the people who do are going to have to take a blow for something like an MP9 in some areas. Here, you can kind of just set up Wiz and Tender, say, you know what, you guys do the role filler work, just buy a kit, get some util, be our site anchors this round, or support us.
We're going to have 5 rifles. It's going to be huge.
Hell, you could even have a glass cannon on Wiz.
You could. And I think low-key there's a world where I would, but that's like a Wiz decision, you know what I mean?
He's not buying it.
You think he's thinking about it?
Nah.
I think there's a world that I might have. If I can get a leg up in a round like this over my opponent, and then carry the up over into the next round on top of potentially a round win here, there's a world I make that choice. Knowing Junior won't have one.
And, you know, starting himself off early, giving Limitless something to stand on, but for now they just rock with the rifles. I said it, there are going to be problems, and that's evident here. But kind of countered up by the fact that they take space in ramp. DJF and co aren't just going to stop with basic ramp control. In fact, shifting all the way through T-spawn, currently the only hold of George. That MAC-10 set up well, though, with crossfire from DJF. And Seb, this shot hit would change it, but no, it's George to find the opening duel, and they've just got to vacate.
Ooh, Wolfie, though, before the smoke fully blooms, actually spots out Rush and finishes the job. Seb makes good off his teammate's life, then lost, tucked at the stairwell inside of the smoke, unaware of his position. The 3 players all around, eventually shot, damage taken and hurt. CJ does eventually deal with him, and Wolfie's down. The kill that he found in the window is now null.
Yeah, and they know Seb was here originally. He's the one who found the original trade, so it's not too shocking of a clear from Junior, but does not leave Tender any better for wear. Knows one's in CT. He's got his isolation, but he doesn't have his kill. Headshot for headshot. The AK always wins, and Junior drops the bag on top of it. Already showing Nouns are feeling no pressure.
Money a little wacky, even so, from those 2 players who managed to save Wiz and Tender are pretty well off. So the AWP, as well as full utility into the next round, will be available for them, as well as some pistols here if they want to get an upset taken away and still have more than what they'll need. That's fine. 3 rounds, though, for Nouns, a 4th soon to go. And with 1 player to die in this round for Nouns means that Junior can get that AWP. I line up my jungle smoke wrong every time, I feel like. It's like a new lineup every time I go there.
It's okay.
We
don't throw jungle smokes anymore.
Or was that
I actually feel like we don't throw jungle smokes anymore. I feel like we don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, instead, whereas before you had the, just, you know, the basic jungle smoke, and then you had your stairs smoke or your con smoke, something like that. Just your basic set to help you cross, right? This is also, wait, maybe not as dead of a round as I thought. 5-7s, crossing, trading well. DJF has turned this back online.
I'm not really sure what's going on at this point. It was just a flurry of frags. Barely could even keep up with them, but still Flawless Jr. continues to tap away and finds two. It's George who can kind of just chill and hang out. He can wait for them to cross because Junior has it. And Wolfie's still around. He's nearby. There's a smoke to the ramp and a shoulder to be seen and a headshot collected. No kit, no time really. I think he's going to have to go for the full stick right now. And eventually he will realize that that will be the case. Junior knows he's got to take him off the bomb. And he was never on it all the way in the first place. 8 kills, 0 deaths. Oh. Thought the bomb timer might have taken it, but we're good.
But nah, as I was mentioning before, everything broke loose. I kind of love the shift of util set on Mirage, especially going into CS2, whereas now you've got that double stairs-sided smoke because you throw the one on top of stairs that ends up bleeding down under stairs, you throw the wall with it, and even when you do end up throwing a jungle piece of utility, it's a molly, right? You smoke top con, you throw the molly if you're taking stairs side. It's cool.
I don't know how. What production? Can you tell me that I sound like an absolute idiot next time?
Oh, it's funnier to let you unwind chaos yourself.
Oh man.
Who knows? Maybe I am too.
No, you sound pretty good, dude. You sound pretty good.
You're just saying that.
No, I mean it. All right, now that I am operating at full power, you'll see that Nouns have actually been countered in the time that it took me to switch over. Maybe that was the curse. CJ gets flashed towards catwalk, the bench play not spotted, but they'll know of CJ's presence at the very least, having, I think, spotted the shoulder of he, but he's changed his position now towards the ladder where Wiz holds on to him, and Wolfie wants to finish this job. He doesn't want to overextend, plays an off angle to perfection.
Well, there's that Oppa Wiz. Again, putting Limitless on the board. I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? Wiz op in his hands might be the win condition for Limitless here. And this is a big round, too, because, I mean, they kind of show that they're not going to back away from taking duels at every step of the way. Look at where people are falling here for now. Like, these are all isolated incidents, and so is that from Wolfie. Got to worry about the kills you give away. You're still not sitting perfect yourself as Limitless. Got to watch it, especially when you give up headshots to Junior, who is our player to talk about, as we've already mentioned. 10 kills that have all seemingly flown under the radar. But for him here, he's just going to fly under the radar and underpass. Escape like a thief in the night as they wonder where he's vanished to on their mid-push tender. No trade in sight, dude. Junior is hitting right now.
That one starts us all off for the road to recovery. 3 kills apiece, a pop for everyone but Tender, and he may be not too far off from it. Tech 9 and a Galil. Not huge, and that nade is. CJ left on a limp. Lucky to get away. 69 health either. I thought they would have eaten that one. Just short from landing right on his noggin. The MP9 is actually the only player directly inside of the site, needing utility and support to rain over from the top side of the stairs, and a flashbang to boot for a fight that he takes him down to 1 HP after the initial HE on top of that. That is a seriously painful stat to see when he presses tab, or at least he sees it after the round.
Oh, no, Wiz almost the victim of a double. Instead, it's the victim of Rush's Tech 9. M4, no multi in sight. And Limitless again secede the A site's control to a very aggressive Nouns.
Tender can't even get into the action. I guess the life of the B anchor, at least I think that would have to be his role at this stage, and that because he's the last to rotate. We all know what that's like, or well, by we all, I mean all our B anchors out there have to know what that's like.
Not. Absolutely not. That A call comes in, I'm not rotating. I know it's over. If I'm there, it don't matter. I'm sitting there doing my jump spots of abs.
I don't care if you see bomb, end all 5, end kill 4.
Doesn't matter. By the time I get there, we either won or lost. I am not moving.
You're crazy. Hold on.
Hey, he's going for it, though.
I
think he's just going to try to pick up the
What
up.
if he gets it?
Oh, put B anchors on the map, baby. Tender, you know what your job is. Oh,
Jesus. No, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Why didn't he even get the op? He didn't go for the op.
I don't know, man.
If you can hate me all you want, there is no lie in the statement I said. Me and my remaining flashbang and smoke after dropping my molly and nade too early are not going back in for the retake.
Alrighty, well. 4-round diff. Still yet to die as Junior despite losing that one round. I guess he's the player to watch for a reason.
I mean, dude, he's killing it right now.
Want to see a little bit from that op, even still on camera, on screen POV of the shots to go along. Now the A ramp take good, successful. He's sending rush forwards and gaining a little bit of ground as he's going to continue his way ahead. It's going to be Wiz missing onto the mark, missing onto the money, but Seb, he eats that one. Right between the teeth comes the shot. DJF gets some support and connector, but there's nobody in that direction. It's a spam through the smoke that'll be more successful than anything.
At this point, again, just looking at a save for Limitless. It's spam, but it's aimless. A little bit of damage on rush could have maybe inspired something if it connected for more, but it's not the world we're living in. Doesn't seem to be a fairy tale for Limitless. Instead, it's back to the dumpster fire that seems to be a couple of these rounds. And at least this time around, they get to walk away with a handful of M4s, right? It's something. You've got the Uto belt on tender. This next round is still manageable, especially if you walk away with something more. AK upgrade potentially for DJF if he wants to get more aggressive for it. Worried about the excess players in con, though, if there were any. I think he'll opt to stay in the back of mid for the remainder of the round. Bomb explodes. And Nouns call a handshake of a finish, sitting up 6-1 comfortably on their own side. No. Back to the old grind for Limitless. They've forced up, too. They put guns around it. I mean, it makes sense. 3 players alive. And even a SPC utility from Nouns. So bumble in the bag a little bit on a couple of slight engagements. However, doesn't seem to halt their aggression one bit. CJ straight through that CT smoke. Maybe it should have been reconsidered. 1.5, maybe a second if it...
Oh my god!
More gust. Oh my, that's insane. Carson just jumps with 3 HP into jungle, and they don't seem to have any idea. No, they do. Seb's gonna clear this for sure, right? Right? Right?
No. Wrong. I don't know why you would. He didn't make a sound. He wouldn't have heard it.
That's true.
CT, it's kind of crazy. He probably expects the guy who he knows is on 10 HP on the opposite end of the smoke not to jump through like a madman. Doesn't know what's on the other side. Carson, though, has an inkling knowing that there were 2 players in the mid direction who had been slain. Thought he had a timing. He did. Oh, knife out here, though. One more player. Default. Oh, that's just karma. Timing right back in the direction of Limitless.
And it feels so rare that we see Nouns operate at a disadvantage, but they don't seem to halt away from going into the A site. This is Nouns we know and love. Stubborn. Don't stagnate whatsoever. And look at the way Limitless have opted to play this round. DJF, a wise call to back away in CT spawn, not offering up any chance to Nouns to find that equalizing pick. Instead, knowing you want to play this retake, that's fine. 2-on-2 isn't what you want. And Tender gives it away. Junior posted up on Cat, gets away with one himself. And they're going to have to go through CT funneling in.
They've crossed. Haven't gotten into the line of sights of Junior, however, the bomb is planted for him. There's a smoke up. Molly, no smoke for the CTs to be able to find him, and movement is good. He's gotten the first player already floored, and the M4 has to kill him instantly. Has a kit, and almost always has the time after a frag as fast as that. Junior maybe a little bit premature on the reface.
That was his first time meeting the Grim Reaper this game. You thought it was going to be a highlight reel.
I thought it was it.
Junior. But I gotta say, and I don't mean this as a diss, but it's gonna sound like it. But I have never seen like a top North American opper miss as many layups as Junior.
What?
Like, I feel like sometimes I'm gonna watch Junior win you the round, but sometimes I might watch him miss a layup.
Dude, what's your problem?
True. He was in a 1-on-3. Can't blame him. But that's when you laugh off.
He's probably like, damn. All right, I'll be better next time. He's like, that's not happening again. That was a one-off. But here we go. He's got the gun once more. Their utility is looking a little bit dry already with 30 seconds ticked off. They've got barely anything, and they've got 3 smokes, 4 flashbangs, 1 molly, so the late round is going to become complicated. The execution should be fine, though. Relatively rudimentary in nature. Not really able to go for a whole hell of a lot of fakes, but with the flashbangs they have, they can at least gain ground. Bottom of mid, that'll soon be theirs. Top side already having been cleared, and 1 zoning out the A site. You can tell where this split's going to end up, Amthran.
Mid has been a very big staple of Nouns side. It feels like every single one of these rounds, we've seen them put some emphasis on actually contending for it. Whether it's 4 people, whether it's 2 just lurking around, they've always kept an eye on mid. And again, that's what they go with. They keep mixing it up. You saw Carson a couple of rounds ago. This time it's Rush. Almost a double. Spins around. He knew where Tender was. Just not good enough to lock it down. Still sets his team up well in the 4-on-4. Already spacing through connector. Keeping tabs on Tender, making sure he can't escape grasp just yet. But Wiz is your next troublesome child in CT. Spawn in the cross. Not hit. And that's a free plant earned. What the? Oh. Okay. Makes sense.
Don't judge him. This guy's been
I thought he
for long enough.
It, but I think he middle clicked it.
Yeah, he did. Just whipped it towards ramp. They're not going to be over peaking right now, Nouns. They're just going to be playing their positions and holding ground. Maybe a jiggle out here, and now confirmed is Tender and ladder. And CJ is going to be the one to swing from the left instead. Catches him completely off guard, and Seb tries as you may without a kit to get a little bit cheeky with it. The op is all that you'll get, and barely even that. The bomb will go off, and there's players in your spawn.
Oh my god, dude! That's always funny to see triple peaks like that, man. It's so funny. But everybody on Nouns are playing out of their minds right now. I mean, you look at some of these duels, and I almost love that we've seen a lot of them from Limitless's perspective, because it really just gives you that feeling of, what do I do? It kind of puts you in their shoes. It's suffocating. Like, Limitless, every duel they take, it feels as of late, is just... Oh, is this an L? I think this is an L, yeah. Alright, they call us off for sure, right? Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, it feels every time we're spectating from Limitless's POV, the duels they lose are just instant lights out.
It really feels like they can get the legs to the round that they want. Limitless. 15-1.
It's just insane. It's just insane.
What do you do? What do you do?
It's crazy too, because if you run the round that he's, you know, losing his first death, it could as easily be 16-0.
With a 1v3. Or 1v2, excuse me.
I think it was a 1v3. I think he got a kill before he went to...
It was a 3K 1v3.
Ah, right.
Yeah, because he killed the guy with his teammate alive on site still. He killed Cat Guy Tender. That's what he started it off with. And, unsure as to when DJF will be returning, but I assume that is what we were waiting for now, as he is seemingly not in the server. Match Medic back to 2-7, and we'll restart it back to where it was. Right back to an absolutely loaded T-side economy now, affording them all these weapons, and the CT side scrounging for scraps.
Now, didn't DJF also have that issue at the start of the game on the pistol?
Yeah. I believe.
It's not his night, man.
They don't want to see him win. They don't want to see him winning. Oh, Limitless won.
Hey!
Just messing.
Oh my. This kind of gives me vibes of a server swap. What?
Might need to
what's going on here.
Take a minute to get this figured out, actually.
I mean, hey, sure. I don't know how much it's going to affect the game, right? It almost feels like when something like this happens, it's kind of forcibly halted momentum from things out of your control.
Sure.
But at the same time, it doesn't even really feel like Nouns need it. A lot of these rounds have kind of gone onto their own volition. And again, it just feels like this team is so difficult to do anything about. It, like, you can't just quickly look at it and pinpoint, say, oh, you know, maybe it's like misspacing here, or maybe it's just the lack of protocols here, right? Because to be completely honest, I have liked a lot of the stuff we saw from Limitless. Like, it doesn't feel like they're just bending and breaking, not doing anything, kind of turtling up on site scared. We've seen a lot of creativity around that A site, I think, in some of the holds they've shown, but just hasn't really gone much anywhere at all in the late round. We saw them contend for mid. We've seen them win their fair share of rounds fighting for mid. I don't exactly know what you could pinpoint the issues being on. It's just everywhere you look, Nouns just winning their duels. It's everywhere you look, Nouns getting the right reads, getting good trades, spacing perfectly, getting these perfect angles. It's so hard, right? Because I don't even know what to say for Limitless.
Yeah, that mid take has just really been doing them a whole hell of a lot of good. Hasn't really been a whole lot of forward pressure coming out of the opponents, really, in terms of coordination and trying to get somebody up in your face and trying to get that high-low, one look lower, one look upper from catwalk side. AWP also being a big factor in that sort of a setup. Not really a whole lot of gimmicks being thrown into the mix to try and deny them of that mid space. And even when that is the case, we don't see them going for a whole hell of a lot in the way of map control on the extremities, the CT side, to remedy that fact. So it really just comes down to them being bullied back into their sights. Limitless being able to find those opening picks towards connector or those timings in through connector sometimes, and it's that or just kind of them walking out into the A site on one of their standard executions a little bit later into the round, and it's something that they don't seem to be able to handle, especially with the money being where it was.
Yeah, the only thing I could maybe like think of, at least on the topic of what you bring up, because I think your points are valid, is maybe lack of info toward B, right? We still kind of see a lot of more standard approaches to these rounds from the CT side, even though I think from the bird's eye view, you almost, I actually don't think we've seen a single round where Nouns have gone B now that I think about it, right? But every single time we still see kind of the same approach to it with CJ on cat, with a B anchor, with somebody in CT, with somebody over toward jungle, maybe a ramp push every now and again, but we're never really seeing them put more strength on that A site's defense initially, because of what they know it's going to come into a round. We don't really see much info plays happening at B. We don't really see any clearing of apps and setting your team up on A because of it. We don't really see any holding or hesitation to throw utility from the defensive side. So when those takes come through, it's rare. We don't see flashes over Con. We don't see mollies on Tetris. We don't see nades to stop them from running out. A lot of it is just kind of, playing your own basic role and holding to your own, playing your own protocols, as a standard A-Site Mirage player, which isn't going to work against a team like Nouns because you give them so much space. You have to some credit, right? Like when that mid take is that strong, you got to look elsewhere for your answers. And I don't think they have been as much as I'd like to see. I think you're muted.
It's been the
buddy.
junior show. It's been the junior show. It's really all we can say. There's nothing else to this. There's nothing else to say. There's two teams, and one of them is blowing them out of the water, and junior has one death. There's not really a whole much more analysis that can be said about this one. Limitless, they need to step up in all departments on the defense, and if they can't, they're going to be running it down effectively on that T side. I don't really know how much they have prepared in this core even, let alone setting aside the two players that are acting as stand-ins, right? So going into this map effectively blind in many ways, and Junior being able to run a field day on them was coming to be the most expected thing. I mean, it was the easiest player to pick to watch, knowing what Junior's best attributes are, and that's just winning out against players who, no offense, don't really know what they're doing in many of these instances as a team.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of stuff you'd expect to see, right? Like you've got to play through the mud with a couple of players that you're not going to be playing with in the future. So there's likely to be some discomfort there when it comes to meshing together. And I think this is the first time we've seen Nouns actually take a B approach. So I'm excited. Right? This is what you live for as a B anchor. These are your moments when your players like Tender. The whole game leading up to this one moment, your one chance as a B anchor to finally make your impact on a game. Spoken from a B anchor's perspective.
Spoken from a real noob. Flash in, actually a smoke to blind Wolfie off as they walk up, or else he'll have to just waltz through or take some pop shots for fun. Pretty genius, really. It just completely negates his ability to have any impact, but Wiz is around. His MP9 player has been found. Wolfie can now activate on his timing, and they've gotten themselves a 4v2 with that nade taking down Rush.
And everybody's here at this point. George is somehow snuck in the bench. DJF kind of suspects it, but actually wins the duel a lot cleaner than I thought it would be. Still, round outcome all the same. Limitless with their third. And you know what? I really like the way that Tender plays this. He doesn't end it with a kill. He doesn't end it with any damage. But what's so important is that Bianca is the way you use your utility. It starts with, as you said, that really smart smoke that stops and stunts progress from Nouns. And when you do see people go out of it, when you do see that jump out of the window or walk out into van, it goes horrifically wrong. You've got an isolation on Cat with 3 players staring at him. You've got a player in van on low HP that just gets dunked on by an HE. It's perfectly played, all set up by Tender. That round is a world of difference if there's a player in apps that can easily see into the site.
First time in a long time, if ever, that Nouns have been in this position where they can't actually afford to go in for a purchase tack timeout taken. 2 rounds left. They may as well go for something at least a little small here and not necessarily digging deep into their pockets, but with that many rounds to go with it, they should be able to afford themselves something in the way of a pistol buy here and there, right? Try and make something happen. They're not going to go full Glocks, surely. I mean, they could. And then into that following round, just save what they can, hope to get that bomb plant with everything in their arsenal, everything in their power. That might be a good idea, actually, now that I think about it. There might be some philosophy behind that, but AK-47s, okay, we got 3. Breaking out the big guns a little deeper into the pockets than I was anticipating, but even so, I'm with it.
You know, I like this. I like this from both sides, right? This is a great round, I think, that we're about to see. We've been talking this whole game about how it's Nouns, 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 but this is the first time we're actually seeing Limitless with a chance to make this more of a story for themselves. Obviously, the role reversal is still something you've got your eye on, but a 5-7 is by no stretch of the imagination unwinnable. And they've got 3 players on A. This is something I said was notably missing from the Limitless CT side. Keeping some extra players here for an early strong defense. And you've got that off on Wiz, posted in cons. A thought it was a first victim when the smoke expired, but that's what Seb's there for. A phenomenal trade. As the A popping still comes through, the setup is still here. Full belt utility on DJF, who's gone undetected behind the triple boxes, and they're inching slowly. Oh, no way.
Yeah, again, he's just past them. The Mac 10 of all things. He's gotten in between. He's splintered it, but DJF has as well. But oh, is that what you were saying too?
Dude.
Oh.
Dude. Come on. Oh, what? What is this? No.
Dude. And
wait, 1v2 on site. 1v2 on site. They got him cornered.
George is playing for himself right now, allowing DJ to cook late. Smoke blooms, already saw the body waking his way up through the bench side though, and Wiz with the op onto the clutch, a 1v2, needing both of these kills in a matter of seconds now. He may have a kit, but there's less than 10 on the clock, and a USP pin pulled won't do it. Job done, and DJF, a moment if he played patiently, he might have found a double.
You know what's crazy? Like, I saw him start moving, and I just hear like the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme in my head. Like, I thought it was done. You think, oh, it's so desperate, it's so desolate. And then he just starts moving. You're like, wait a second, he could just win the round. But no, you're right. I mean, a hairpin away, and it's such a heartbreaking way to lose it too, because it was like 2 guaranteed kills that would have been rounds changing. It hurts, man, but it's left him here.
It brought you, where did it bring you? Right back to me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, elevated over the top of that smoke. Didn't land exactly how the CTs would have wanted it to if it were theirs. Maybe it was an intentional T1 to give them that leg up. That would have been pretty curious if that were the case. Pretender snuck by in through van side. He's been spotted by Junior, who goes for the hard clear, no stone unturned. This 9th round looking like a shoo-in at this point with that bomb to be planted only now. It's actually just going down. And Seb's going to have to fly in with that MP9 to give Wiz any chance with this rifle, and even then, he's just decimated by Carson. It's a little late for DJF's flank here. He would have caught Junior if he was a little bit faster. He should still now, but even so, he'll be held. Missed the flash. Second one thrown in the same direction successfully this time around, though. And the cross from Market side is going to be let open, but Seb not quite prepared for CJ.
I mean, you gotta give it its good attempt, but yeah, no. It's a very, very star-studded half for Nouns as we go into the break. Could have been Limitless's chance, but seems history repeats itself.
Okie doke. Hopefully, fingers crossed, all of the internet and whatever connectivity issues within the last half for DJF have been squared away. We want to see him, as well as Limitless, in full force for their attempt to try and pull back Mirage. 3 rounds is all of that their opponents are going to need to bring at least overtime. And it'll take 4 for the full victory, and Carson spotted out a sliver of players in Pallet, or Apps.
And the setup is good, man. They've got 3 players here, all ready to shoot him down, and so is Wolfie. Way better outlook to the pistol here for Limitless. All right. The side swap had me a little worried as to what this future was to behold, but right now, it's lockout.
Get it, beat, hold.
All right. You know, and I was disappointed, but you've somehow lowered the bar.
Yeah.
Trust me, I do it all the time. You'll get over it.
This is Rush now cowering in fear, man. He's got nothing but body armor, and he's going to be chilling with this one. Just hanging about. Completely avoided.
What if he wants to just chill? You know? Sometimes you're mid-game and you're like, I don't want to play this round. That's why I'm a B anchor. That's why I do what I do.
That's me for real.
All right, Denji, calm down.
I love B anchoring. I like A anchoring. I like playing con. Window's nice.
Cat is the worst. I feel like all spots on Mirage are fun except like Cat.
Probably.
Like I remember when I would join a team and they're like, "Yeah, we'll kind of need you to be our Cat player, Mirage." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool with that." And you know, I just mute my mic and the deepest sigh you ever heard. Slow progression here for
Very.
Limitless. I mean, look, you got to give respect to the Pistols. Give them an inch, they'll take it a mile, especially when you're staring down people like Russian Jr. Jr. obviously, you know, having a game of himself, but at the end of the day, it is still a P250, and eventually they'll scale into A and call this quits. Did that didn't just do 52? That must have been through a wall, right?
Probably, yeah, I assume so. Now Wolfie can make some buku bucks with this Mac 10 as they get closer to him. He only finds the one wider the swing where CJ can collect upon him. From then onwards,
it's
formality.
Damage mitigation.
Yeah.
Bro.
Got Carson just tucked into spawn, hugging the wall. With CJ
I don't think they're
playing
gonna bother
first.
going for exits.
Well, I mean, sure.
Junior will, but it's a stalemate of a round. And he's not even going to investigate a little bit. By the time Carson figures out what's going on, they're on with the win. The Junior's Mac 10 won't have much of an effect. Nope, I lied. They stuck around in there. All right, well, he'll get his chance, and he'll get his kill. If there's anybody you didn't want having that extra $600, it's the op. Wait, that's crazy, because you could actually see Junior purchase an op now because of that one kill. I almost wonder if he does. 19 and 5, dude? You're killing it. Do it. He does.
Do it, do it, do it!
I wanted it. We all wanted it. And, ooh. It's not DJ at this time. I don't think he bought. I lied. He carried that in from the last round. It could very well be DJF. I kind of wonder if DJF gets subbed out the second map. Can they even sub him out? Like,
not
what
for
would you do?
Cyrus or
Bring in a
Sandman, I don't
coach?
think. Yeah, I'd have to assume. Somebody.
Gotta be. I mean, and not even saying like for, you know, time constraints or anything or one reason or another in specific, but I feel like sometimes it does get to a point as a player. I mean, talked to a lot of people who used to have issues with this. I think Landmaz was one. And it just kind of gets, you know, you get sad, right? Like, it's out of your control. It's happening every other round. And you just start to feel demoralized as a player because there's so many spots where you could be having your impact. I think you and I are thinking about the exact same moment where, you know, if he was there, if he was in that spot, it's a round for Limitless, likely. But now it's just the kryptonite.
Now, 5v5 rifles, no snipers in the question. The only player in any way who can be slighted about this one is DJF with the Galil. He's got the rest of his team fully kitted out, though, with 4 the gap. And Nouns now with a chance back for the rest to try and supplement what Junior's done thus far. Needing a hero joined by his side, a sidekick perhaps in this moment, really. He has been absolutely nothing but a star. This now.
I'm still surprised we don't see Junior wield the AWP in this round. I'm actually kind of shocked.
Yeah. I don't know. But what I do know is that Rush needed this utility, this much at very least, on the jump spot. The life of a B anchor now realized on the deeper spot than typically you'll see. Now, drops back towards Van even so and elevates himself to see nobody on the other end.
Well, Limitless are waiting. I mean, I'm wondering what the Q is. Maybe just the, I'd say, decay of that smoke in B, but the jig is up, right? You just threw that nade. Noise is cut everywhere, and this is kind of the inverse where we're seeing from Nouns. They've got eyes on extremities. They see nobody in ramp. Nothing's being made in mid. They're not throwing flashes, spacing up. So, leaves you here. You knew it was going to be a B approach. You threaded it with 2 pieces of utility, and now with 30 seconds to go, they're rerouting right into the welcoming arms of Nouns. Carson, a shaky spray, but an unscathed kill no less, and they're still going into this A site.
Walked in, not exactly for free.
Oh.
Waiting to spring the trap was Carson, and it's the lineup, the 1-2 punch, and he's got the both Junior with just in a vision over the top side of the box, slipping out from triple. In between that and default, leave tender with nothing to do and no time to do anything if you wanted to. 1 spray, and that's all that he's got in the tech.
And so falls another hard-fought round from Limitless. Kind of the victims of their own fruition there. You had the timer really painting you toward the end of that round. There wasn't any exploring toward A, and you could really see how hard that hit. As soon as you went in ramp, Carson was there, then you were worrying about him, and you go up con. He gets 2 more. It's just a mess at the end. Nothing you could really do about it, except hope for the best in the following with a little bit of utility and a sprinkle of magic. Maybe you can get a bomb plant in this. You've only got Rush to worry about at the B end of things, so not of any sort of impossibility. Junior, though, quick on the rotation, realizing the hole that's been left open. He'll come through to address it with some extra assistance in mid and a smoke over the A site. He's here, and he's ready to game.
This is him holding the line once again. A reload out in the middle of nowhere. A miss. Press of the bind from Rush, perhaps, but even then, another dunk. A double from them both. They collaborate to make this one a done deal with DJF trying as he may with the Tech 9, a potent weapon in that range, but not for much more than just the singular. Want to see now these 2 rounds from Nouns in quick succession with Junior's up, readily available with the money that CJ has built up, and I think he is asking for the drop now. Bang.
I was going to say, eventually you got to get it out, right? I mean, like, the CT size where you're going to see the best of it. I like the structure we've seen in these rounds from Limitless. It's unfortunate it hasn't come through, and yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? You don't need some overarching strong player to win you a game. I mean, look, subtracting the fact that Junior's 24 and 6, I actually don't think that. But the point is, the backup plans are superb. Wait, what? Wolfie lagged out. Uh-oh.
Something's going on here.
What is going on?
I don't know, man. The server connectivity really isn't hitting today.
It's not helping him.
Damage was already done. The round will stand. And I'm sure that Limitless, we're not going to be too pleased about how a couple of these rounds have been definitely impacted by these sorts of issues. And right now, doubling back to A, Seb's got no idea. George is making his way up. It looked like Seb actually wanted to make his way over to B for a time there. Not now. Bomb let loose. Tender and DJF on recon mission to retrieve.
It's another sour taste on the tongue. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as saying this round was Limitless is in the bag, right? It started rough. You had a good shot from Seb in ramp, but the trade was great. So, not like it would have had this massive, insane progression that was missed upon because of Wolfie's disconnect. Couldn't have helped. Neither does that shot. And yeah, George, given an early warning of where he lies, takes the 12th round with glee. A 7-round advantage and 7 chances to close out Mirage. Kind of leaves Limitless in the dumps. And it's the worst part about all that is the fact that this time it's not even DJF. It's Wolfie gone. So you have no idea what happened, right? And they call the tack pause, which almost makes me wonder, are they out of usable tech time? Well, it doesn't matter because he's back. So
I was gonna say I don't know, but they certainly can't have that much time left. And this is the last round of the map, effectively. I mean, like sub $3,000 on everybody right now. I don't think it'll really come to matter all that much. Fighting tooth and nail and having good competitive spirit and sportsmanship is one thing, but squaring away these issues so they don't continue to plague you in a map 2 are all the more important at this stage in the game. 24-6, Junior, a non-stop fragger for them over the course of Mirage with his 4 KD. Likely not to stop there. He's a quick rotate away from the A site. Once they make their way in, the incursion with only an AK from CT and George to stop them. Nobody in any awkward positions where they're going to flood down upon them. It's going to be a time before they can get up and close and personal with George. So it's the run towards jungle they prefer. And when they make their way in that direction, they're met with bullet fire from George and Carson in crossfire. But oh, little trap from Wiz. I think he accidentally hit him low key, but that one was a little bit more controlled than the other.
And this round is spun on its head. This is doable or not. Rush. Not ready to speak about another round of Mirage now, are we? Junior still got his op on 100 HP in jungle. It seems to be expected by Wolfie. However, what you aren't expecting is Junior to just come walking out. Because why not? Hot hand in this game, hot hands to end. 25-6 goes the star op of Nouns. Round to miss the player to watch. It was well placed, apparently. Why not the man who persuaded me into agreeing? And I'm happy it did. Nouns, it's not a surprise to see them come out the victors, and almost not even surprising to see the way it happens. But I gotta say, I don't think this score tells at all. I really don't. I think if we didn't see as many issues from the side of players like DJF, there could have been more rounds to speak of. I still hold the argument this could have been a 7-5 half, and this could have been a lot more competitive, maybe even, or a slight advantage for Limitless on that T side, all coming back to that one round from DJF lagging out in the middle of it. And it's unfortunate, but it's the way it goes. And the way things go alongside that is Junior with a 116 ADR, bro.
Yeah, he is the player of the match through and through, man. Absolutely sublime coming out from the sniper rifle with rifle rounds to go in with it. He was absolutely perfect on the T side whenever he had an AK in his hands. It felt like CT side also could really do no wrong, not really making any issues or tripping over himself with the rifle. And everybody in his supporting cast started to step up towards the end there as well. You said you probably thought this could have been a little bit closer should there not have been as many issues with DJF in terms of connectivity throughout this game. I agree. Do I think it would have changed the outcome of the game overall? No. I think it really would have been a closer affair, closer to something like 9-13, 10 maybe. But even so, you never know. It very well could have changed the course of the game. But DJF with time now to figure that out. We've got time to square things away, and you have time to go to the bathroom and grab some water before we get to our next game. It's going to be another map coming up in just a little bit between these two teams, so don't go anywhere.
Well, Nouns pretty handedly took the first map. As we shift over into the second, Limitless, there was promise to field. However, there were a lot of other things that we need to discuss. Again, you talked about the connection issues of DJF toward the end. Even Wolfie was subject to it. And there were a lot of things that plagued Limitless outside of things that weren't in their control. Rather, should I say inside, because it was inside the server that a lot of these issues kind of took place. It felt linear. Sometimes on the CT side, you really start to see Nouns run away with it toward the end, considering how much comfort there was, how well they were meshed together on that CT side. We even saw They'd miss opening picks, but it just wouldn't matter. There's so many different ways Nouns can go about winning a round that Limitless just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, definitely. The avenues of opportunity when Junior was able to put up kills wherever he saw fit was also something that obviously felt like they could do no wrong. When it was an opening from somebody else, even better. It's really just a lot that you can't really afford to counter, especially playing a player down in 3 or 4 of those rounds. And it comes back to bite you every now and then, but more so than anything else, what'll come back to bite you is the fact that op v op, it was never a question. And then when it came to just the entry pathing, it felt like there was always a group of enough players ready and raring to clear every angle they needed to on the offensive from Nouns that Limitless couldn't really do a whole hell of a lot of anything in the way of multi-frags. Yeah. Even then, flip that script. When they were getting run up on by 2 or so players, it was going unchecked under balcony, Carson double kill. It was just them sweeping them away with positions that they get caught off guard with consistently, Limitless. But moving into this next map, maybe things will change, which I don't think we have gone through what that map will be just yet, have we?
No, we still have the vetoes to see. And I am interested because I believe in these best of ones, rather, I should say best of twos, where you are essentially playing 2 best of ones. A double Mirage game is technically possible, and I wouldn't even entirely be shocked to see Limitless run it back on that map. But what I am surprised, or what I do want to see, rather, is DJF, right? Do we even see him? Are the issues fixed? What was really going on with him? Because it was a couple of times he lagged out. I want to know that because it's hard to really gauge how competitive and close that game was when you factor in things that were happening to them internet-wise. Was it really a 13-5? Could it have been something more like a 13-9 or 10, as you were saying earlier? Well, we really don't know, and that's where our perspective comes in here, right? Why, rather, how close does this get? How competitive can Limitless be? Because, again, they don't have a very high bar to hit for ECL. As I've said, so far, it's not been an amazing tenure. This is a multi-season project, as you mentioned. That was one of the best games we saw out of them this season. And honestly, I still stick by saying that 13-5 doesn't really paint the whole picture, and I think it should have been significantly closer. But I want to see how they do with the run back. I want to see how they do with no issues on their side. Can they maybe take a map? Can they maybe take a lead? We saw at the start it didn't kick off so great because of an unfortunate pistol stack that didn't go their way. Then we saw on the T side quite the inverse. In fact, I'd say it was more strong than the pistol Nouns got on their T side, based on the fact that you look at it from Limitless' CT in the first, well, it came through with only one player being on A. Switch it around, they walked into a stack B site, they came out the winners. That's promising as we shift into Anubis, and Limitless get to show that T-sided prowess again.
Okay, pretty quick into it. Not a whole lot of time for us to waste as we just jump right back into these, like we never left. Now we go walking it down in towards A main, silent as ever as George is playing for contact. Maybe a late flash from a teammate, but they're on a recon mission right now across the other strings of the map. They haven't cleared this. They haven't cleared it at all, but George, little bit crazy on the spray, firing off as fast as he can, but accuracy is more important in this instance as they get their bomb plant to man up.
Wolfie, I love this off angle. They're not going to expect it. And again, Wolfie shines. He was a very big piece of their first T-pistol. It seems to be the case again. Limitless, quite the role reversal as they look to take a lead for the first time in the series, albeit fragile. But it's a lead that they haven't had what feels like almost all season.
Lead is a lead.
Don't matter how you get it. Matters how you hold it. And I love this from Nouns. Soon as they're, well, I'm not going to say as far as back against the wall yet, but
back against the wall. It's basically
1-0
over.
down. It's you might as well pack it up. I will say that there is some pressure put onto him, so the buy comes through. And again, it looks this will be a face toward A with only one in defense of CJ to King. Smoke thrown off of an Instinction, and that would be right, but I think they're going to go through it without making a peep.
5-7's great for this position, though. Oh, not able to exchange his dinks. He just gets some shots into the shoulders. One to the left and one to the right of Tender. He's going to be sore, but running it back now to try and maybe save this armor to fight another day, as there's no reason to throw them away. It's Rush with the SMG that might be able to make some more money, even if they go for a hunt onto them. They don't want to be playing these long-range battles with any of these players, but knowing that there's 3 MAC-10s on our perspective, on an outside looking in, still could be problematic for them.
Yeah, this isn't really a round you want to be tossing away rifles willy-nilly. Limitless, there is still a threat to worry about here in the saved over weapons. And this buy in the following round only gets stronger if you give away a gun and don't get a trade. Imagine you could somehow retain a Galil or even a MAC-10. Throw your pistol over to your comrade and rock the 2 SMGs. That's all fine and well. And Wolfie's going to start moving into this crossfire, so this might be another gun dropped or the inverse of 2 weapons ripped out of the hands of CTs and making this third round a lot more tame.
Lobbing over any extra util to try and make something happen. A game plan seems to be in place for this round, so see what they've got cooking. At the very least, just make sure that they're not running into this one dry with just these pistols. And a burst from Rush nearly rained in, damage dealt onto Wiz, but finished off eventually. A late aggro peek from Carson could do something, actually.
Wouldn't be the first time. I'm thinking back to where he was 3 HP and jumped through a smoke, and it seems he's going to pull it off again. Trade's there from Sav. It's not going to get that far out of hand, but feels like more than should have been allowed. Doesn't matter, though. All's fine and well with Limitless, sitting pretty in what seems to be a 3-0 bow tie of a start.
Oh, my.
Oh, wow. All right.
Wait a minute.
No, this isn't winnable, but... Nah, that Molly is gonna really put it out of arm's reach, which is unfortunate for his case, because like you were kind of onto something with the
even just kills.
2 players low, right?
If you decided to echolocate the bomb planter based on the sound of the C4 spot inside of the smoke, then spam that same area and pizza at in the moment after, you would have found them both with 1 stray bullet. It would have been done. USP, even Galil not necessary. Even then, 4 kills in that round would have been huge. But even so, they get the AWP for the man to be named for Mirage and Junior, who's not exactly off to the same start where he had died 3 times in a total of 10 rounds, I think, in the last game. He's already up to that point now. Obviously not something that is reasonably maintainable. I'm just saying.
Right. What is maintainable is the form of aggression you take in your rifle rounds, because Nouns have stuck with it, and they've taken full control of B main. Look at the way they're going to shift their defense. Put that whole of mid out of worry. Or maybe back into it, because this is all on a timing that George wins. DJF just looked away. And they're going to go waltzing into A site. Sure, maybe a bomb plant in sight, but if they use their utility right, DJF's going to win them the round before this bomb can even show face. Another nade in mid, as everybody's eyes are trained on the angle of long. Good opener from Carson, and again, this puts a wrench in things.
Yeah, man, this is a game of delay that Nouns win every day of the week. Blank. Not even really necessary in activation, as everybody else is able to keep them at bay on the outer extremities of camera side, and they can take them down 1 by 1, systematically breaking apart the Limitless aggression. Great information to start with, and from there, I love the fact that they don't really necessarily have to dump all their bodies into that flank knowing it exists. They can keep one in, what's the phrase? It would be insurance, and the rest can just body back up towards that top side of mid knowing nothing else can go wrong. The only way that round goes haywire south side is if they somehow manage to get into water and then through E-box audibly, but they know that isn't going to be the case.
Right now, the only case is the rebuy from Limitless, putting pretty much everything they've got on the line. And maybe Junior heating up in retaliation. Nouns' utility usage is something to be inspired by from that last round and this one. It's so weird because DJF had that monstrous flank that didn't actually matter. Or not DJF, I'm sorry, it was George, but set him up real well. It looks like right now Rush is trying to set him up well. Again, I love that nade, dude. Just blowing up in the left side of that smoke exclusively. And not only that, but it dunks on a Seb. And they're right back to an even Steven spot.
Rush drops the smoke. That's 18 seconds off the clock. 40 seconds at that stage in Limitless. They're just going to have to sit and wait, and I think it's going to be pretty telling. I think that nothing happening around any other side of the map by the time that smoke does fade is going to leave Nouns pretty comfortable that it is going to be B play. But the one thing that might dissuade them, actually, is knowing that B main is clear. Oh, this is a weird strategy. 4 through E-Box?
Hey, man.
Rush has
If
a
it
volley,
works,
too.
it works. Oh, wait, this is gonna
So
hurt.
does George.
This is gonna hurt, dude. As soon as they try to scale into the site, one of those, there it is. Molly's
cycle
gonna
the
stop
next.
him. There's only 26 seconds. You're right. If they just throw the second Molly down, or even throw it on the site, for God's sake, doesn't matter where they put it. That'll be the round right there. These smokes need to be utilized and saved properly. Oh my God, that might be round defining.
It's literally over.
You have to go through it. You can't wait. You can't wait. You don't have the time to wait. Flashes go in, and so do they. There's Rush stepping up. George behind him. Even if this trade comes through, it might just not matter. Sam traded out through the smoke. 6 seconds to go. 5. Wiz misses it on the pickup. It's too late. They lost it to time again, and they might even get dropped after it. Wiz stuck behind the pillar. CJ, if this kill comes through, it would be devastating. Wiz, it's a game of survival that he barely gets away with.
Holy, jumping through the smoke there with the USP wasn't even necessary at that point in time, but it nets him even a kill on top. The bomb was never going to be able to be planted. The sound cue never came through. But even so, a valiant attempt to stop them should it have been the case. They couldn't pick up the most important piece to the objective in a second round secured off the back of it. AK for Wiz to utilize pistols across the rest, except for DJF, who was also afforded a fully automatic rifle. But they are going to have to be powerhouses in this one if they want to sneak away around.
Oh, look at this, though. Setting up Wiz, getting it in early, getting those hands.
Less than ideal flashbang.
Honestly, the only thing being dirty or cleaned up is him getting cleaned up in B main, and it doesn't seem anything is going Limitless way. I loved the idea going in, but downhill it went, and downhill goes the round with DJF, the only rifle really to speak of. I don't think the standings change all that much, or do they? There is the bomb in B main and an open B site to get the plant down in. Any cash is helpful.
Wolfie sneaking away with a bomb plant there. The only 2 kills in the round. Gonna try and go and blend against this wall. They're being very cautious about this even so. I mean, obviously you want to be cautious, but not being overzealous in their clears is one thing. And even Carson, just in the nick of time, hitting the floor as he jumped around the bend to clear. Go 3-3.
Look, I call that a win exclusively for him because that's a dead round, right? I mean, you weren't winning it. It was a 1v5, like, whatever, right? But you got 2 kills, you got a plant, you forced some rise, you did something. However, if you can't, you know, rekindle that fire we saw in the opener, I don't really know how much it's going to amass to. Again, Junior's op is what has me really worried, specifically because we haven't seen it, but it's still here. And eventually, it's going to get tested, kind of like Carson in mid. Uncharacteristic, it seems, he only gets the 1. The AK stolen and a 4-on-4 taken.
CJ awaiting the blow to the smoke if there is to come one, or a pop through the flash there, and CJ is holding on to it comfortably enough, you would have thought, but the jump through is going to be the SMG's movement that catches him off. Still low, a pair, and a bomb planted. The time to spare with the smoke to delay out through beaches. Get an upgrade into an AK-47 tender, luckily for him, but Rush, he's going to have to be so careful about how he walks into this one. The shoulder seen first from the T walking in through the other end, though. Maybe a little bit too much of a hunt for him, knowing he dropped that smoke. Should have just played for them to go his way, but there's Wiz once more, applied into the open arms of the op, picked up by Rush, and couldn't get the reload off in time. Now George left to close with 1 kill already, the second soon to follow. Drops that smoke to the left side, but spotted to the right! What was that flick? It must have been perfect, right onto the noggin, and a defused. Go with it 4, in a little bit of a scary round.
Do you see what I'm saying, though? Like, bro, all these fights, man, it just feels like you don't get a chance. The one part of that round that really shocks me, though, is, I mean, again, you don't know, right? Because Junior never rattled off a shot. He never even got close to firing one. But it's Junior, you know? Like, you almost want to imagine he's going to have an op there. You pick that up, Wiz scopes in. What does that round look like? Is that a Limitless round we're talking about? I mean, I couldn't tell you, but that could have honestly been better off. Can't really take away from that shot, though, from George. It's just as hard. It's just as impossible. But a timeout called yet again. Rather, a tech pause, I should say. So far, it seems both of these sides have been riddled with them. but I am relieved by a lot of these players' movement. I do see some wiggles around. I feel like this might be the time to talk about our fast food opinions.
No.
No? Man.
So good movie you saw recently.
I haven't seen a movie in a while. I think the most recent movie I watched was A Quiet Place, and I didn't even finish it.
Was it good?
Didn't really tickle my fancy. It's very slow. Very, very slow. It starts off fast, right? Like, I mean, you have like this somewhat slow scene, but it, you know, the way it ends, it's kind of a fast-paced thing. Then it's just kind of like 50 minutes of dead time. I mean, it's what sucks about a horror movie sometimes, right? Like, you got to have the pacing slow to build up that really dramatic feeling, but sometimes it's just too long. That it was Human Centipede. Anyway, Nouns. 4-3 up with Junior posted on A main. I will say he's been rather mobile with the op. That. Oh, they blocked it. Okay, I don't know why I thought Junior threw a smoke behind him. I was going to say that would have been quite the questionable move, but no, he didn't. Still posted. There has usually been a player around this side of the pillar, but the op, maybe not something of anticipation as he tucks up in heaven. Maybe sees if the eye in the sky can't get this round on the go.
Pop the smoke. Barely any vision on the right side. More than enough on the left for George to line up a frag and get out of dodge quickly. Rush to take the damage, actually, funny enough. An accessory to the crime. There's still 3 towards B, and they want more. They want more Anthran. They do not cease fire. They run it down into B main, one after another. They don't space properly for them to swing in simultaneous act, but even still, Rush, in seconds after, his teammate will fall, takes the kill back to their way, and still only 1 player up, actually, as things have gone a little bit sour over towards the top side of A. Knowing now that Tender should be flanking, though, somebody's got to hold for it.
I mean, this round is not as over as initially expected after that 4-on-2. Now, might be. They know this could be a possibility, and Rush's spot of it is perfect. On the ball. Even if you swallow this nade hole, it doesn't matter. 20 seconds, look where the bomb is. You don't have time to clear any of these angles whatsoever. Carson just hangs on. Another round that seems to have not lived up to desires for Limitless. Again, the rifles are going to keep coming through. I guess you have at least that benefit at the T side. You can just keep hammering it home with these buys and hope for the best. But doesn't mean they're going to be great. Still missing a lot. And because of it, they go for something a little more aggressive. At the start, I thought it was just going to be a quick lineup toward B. Go in, see where you fit in. But they've slowed it down. Now they really let Nouns start to feel themselves.
I don't have a great feeling about this round for Limitless either, honest and truthfully. I think that the only way that they really crack this one down is if Carson goes down with nothing. Or excuse me, CG goes down with nothing at A main, but he's got teammates there now. The spread is not going to be easy to work with now, especially now that B main's been smoked off deep. They're going to have to wait that much longer. And knowing now that there's a stack over towards that A side, us, you and me as spectators and everybody in the chat as well, this could be what the doctor ordered. A pop in, could catch one off guard because they are convinced that there's something happening on the other side of the map.
This is all timing, right? Do they want to go through the smoke? If they pop through the smoke early, they are going to catch an A site or a B site with their pans completely down. Right now, there's discovery going on toward A. Seeing nothing here from Nouns will start to have them cheat a player back. But Rush is currently the only one to defend the A site. He's got a molly, but he doesn't have a kill. He doesn't hold it down on a whiz. Thought it was a done deal. Instead, they nullify the contract, and Nouns have to attempt a retake.
Painful losing that body, and Wolfie at A main has been dealt with, but they're not going to flood in through the back line. It's going to be Tender hearing it all. He's going to be playing to spoil it. And I think he might have done it. I think they're going to all bypass him. If anybody does, they're going to be having their knife out more likely than not. But they just returned! Carson, the awareness on him is at actually 11. He's so dialed into this one, stuck in center sight. Seb, the only one. There's a cross set from the player inside of E-main, but Seb's going to be spotted first and dealt with.
I mean, DJF, you're the only thing standing between them and the round because your teammate's on 4 HP. Somebody's got to get on it, though. The time is really starting to become a factor. Held down Junior, the shot of the game, and he doesn't drop it. No layup Swift here. Nouns doubling the score of Limitless and look to extend.
Ooh. That's about as down to the wire as it'll come for a CT side retake, but honestly and truthfully, Nouns looked like they were in control of it all the way through once they had gotten to the point where Carson found the kill in front side CT spawn Anthran. The trades were perfect. The post in the end from Junior and not George was even better in my opinion because the Opper needs to hit that shot. He didn't have the HP to go for anything other than that. If you were to go for the stick, George would have had to hit every single bullet, right? And think about it like this. One bullet required from the Op and time enough, not for Junior, excuse me, for George to get on the bomb if Junior had gone down instead. Scary.
Everything about it is scary. But Nouns, in every one of these weird rounds, seem to be coming out the victor, man. That was their 6th in a row. We got to remember that. As soon as the guns came out, the gloves came off, and Nouns has just been off to the races, and Junior alongside it. There's that op. I told you, man. It's been here the whole time. Eventually, we're going to see it. And now we're starting to. Another advantage held as the round ticks thinner. So do the belts of utility. Look at this from Carson taking full control of Canals. They know exactly what's going on. In fact, everybody's starting to flood in. DJF puts a stop to it.
And CJ's angle is still hard to break apart, but seemingly manageable for Seb. Cutting off the bomb carrier right now, maybe? DJF actually needs a little bit of support to get back into it. And Junior might now have room to slip in as well. He can kind of hightail it over to hold and post for them to make their way. And I don't think they're going to be ready for it.
Oh, well, again, we're going to have to call upon Junior. What a nade! Perfect!
What?
This? Not a bit of damage? DJF's going to walk straight in. Junior, this round was yours! You've been robbed!
I don't understand what just happened. I don't understand. How did it do no damage? If anything, it landed on the top of the cake right in front of him in the middle of the pillar. I don't know. Is there a replay possible?
I really hope there is. I want to see that.
I'd really like to. This is going to be a pistol SMG. No, I don't think we're going to be able to get it in time. But maybe at the end of next round, if we can get a replay of that nade trajectory, that would be really, really good. Yeah, I don't know. It looked like it would have been right on the top of his head.
I don't know, man, and I don't think Junior knows either. This is frustration starting to kick in after a round loss like that. It's gonna sting.
Okay, 3v3.
So are the bullets for that MP9. I just don't know what to say.
CJ walking it in from the bottom side right now of water. 2, actually, as a matter of fact, closest to the 2, blinded and deep at range. CJ able to get into a position where maybe a Galil can get him a more comfortable fight, but Wiz, don't be a hero right now, man.
No, not the play. I love this. Instead of dropping down, they decide, you know what? We have mid control. We've got all this space.
Oh, he's baiting him into him.
I can just post up. Is he though?
Yeah.
I mean, oh wait, no.
He's trying to.
Yeah, you're right. He can't. Oh, he had a shot. He had his opportunity. Wouldn't have changed anything. I think CJ still gets the trade, but he did have a chance.
Getting it a 6-6 half, maybe even 7-5 for Nouns right now. I doubt that much, but a 6-6 is really solid. Really, really solid. I'll say moving into the attack, they're going to be feeling a lot better about that much probably. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable going for their game style on a T-sided map, you know. With a little bit more in the way of practice across top to bottom for the whole board.
Oh my god! Dude, what is this? It's a rush play on the last round. Limitless! They put it all on the line. They say, we're feeling the fire and we're going to play with it. Wolfie's Mac 10, a double entry. There's still a third one here, but he's no match on 1 HP.
My lord.
Hope he does his best Carson impression and looks to put things to a close. George back into it.
Whoa.
But out of it right after.
Doesn't even know where to look, and then Rush on the top side, trying to drop down. So many smokes all about, but we'll see if this one will close in the way of Nouns in 2-0, or if Limitless have done it on Anubis.
Well, the competition I was waiting for, Limitless. Round-wise, this is their best game of the season. And we are only at halftime, tied up at 6-all. Nouns have got to work for this one a bit more. And I'm loving it, because Limitless's pistols have been superb as of late. And you keep that fire burning here, it'll again be a lead. And it's NL. Wah wah.
All good. Regain. Set. See what they've got. So we've got only we only have like 7 more rounds to go. Best case scenario before one of these teams runs away with it. T side. It could happen. It could happen.
It could.
It could happen. No, but in all seriousness, I think that what I was most impressed with in that last map that we had seen between these two teams in Mirage was their T side, Nouns. I was most impressed with their T side. They got 9 rounds on it, only needed to secure another 4 on their CT in order to get over. But even so, if you look at their players on the T side, statistically speaking as well, most of their entry picks coming from Junior and Carson, 120 ADR just below for the two of them, with 2 very clear rifle players to play for, and not even needing to call upon somebody like George, who is also playing his role perfectly, but there were just never enough kills for him to justify being that late round passive player, right? So imagine now that you have the ability for Junior and Carson to be opening up your rounds, and then you've got more opportunity for George to play passively, whether it be on an extremity or just behind them. Opens up a whole new world of opportunity, really, for these players who weren't, quote unquote, in the limelight on the T side of Mirage, who were still above a 1.0 rating and then some, because they were doing such a great job in being supportive casts.
But that's the thing about Nouns, right? Like, everybody can be that guy, and then everybody can be the supportive guy. Like, that's what's so deadly about the team. You look at IGLs, you think, like, you know, CJ is probably not teed up for that, but sometimes he just is. Sometimes he's just that guy. Sometimes you just see CJ farm. He can take over games. Carson can take over games. George Rush Jr. can take over games. Like,
I think it's been a while since we've seen a Rush takeover. Well, at this level, Rush can definitely and has taken over games, I will say. But yeah, I'm glad to see Rush in this team. I was going to say, actually, after your point was made, that in this roster, I think I've seen him playing some of the better Counter-Strike that we have probably since when he was on the main EG roster and they were actually playing well, succeeding, right? I think this is actually some of the better individual Counter-Strike we've seen from him. I thought he was done after Party Astronauts. He went into that, I forget what the actual job he did was, but it was like a performance coach type thing role. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He did like a completely different function in some way or another that I don't exactly remember, but it just wasn't an actual coach or as an actual player anymore. And I was like, damn, he's done, I guess. But I'm very happy to see him back.
And it's on a promising team too, because now like, Nouns are only a stone's throw away from kind of being the next, I'd say, like, M80, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he fits this team's bill.
I think he adds so much to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the one thing, like, in terms of this roster that anyone could ever say that they could, like, exchange or upgrade in due time would be either the caller or Rush's role. But the thing that you lose when you replace one of those two things is a lot. Unless you're getting some insane upgrade for a caller, right? It shouldn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense. And I guess the upgrade for Rush would just be somebody absolutely cracked out of their mind and aim. Excuse me. But what you lose is a lot more that you don't really need.
Like, it's hard, right? Because I look at Nouns, and I think you're right about almost everybody that you look at. I mean, I think of I'd say up and coming talent you have on this team. I don't even know if I could really kind of classify some of these players. Is that right? Like,
I mean, the only player who's really up and coming still has to be George. That's really the only up and coming player this roster has.
But I mean, you can't even really say it about him, and that's why it's so hard.
He's only 21.
I don't mean age-wise. I just mean in the scene, right? Like, he's no newcomer, right? It's not like this is just, you know, some guy getting pulled up to ECL, to a big team, or his first debut in a squad that he can make, like, really take to the next level, or, like, could start show-stopping.
No, I'd say he's up and coming still. I'd still say so.
But even so,
I'd say Hex T is upcoming in the same vein.
I think Hex T's already that guy, personally. But, I mean, you wouldn't swap out any of these people unless you had, like, some insane options, which you won't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Obvious upgrades. Like, the only players that you would have obvious upgrades for if you were to ever go for it are those two, and that's why I said even then you probably wouldn't do it because you lose so much more, especially in the case of Rush. Rush is somebody that you, like, sure, right, he might not be like a superstar entry player that walks in and gets 3, but what he brings is invaluable in literally every other aspect of the game in and out.
I mean, I think the one way I can really summarize that whole point too is thinking back to a round on Mirage where I want to say it was like 5-1 or 6-1 or something like that, and they're going up mid, they give away a kill, and Rush is just spaced so perfectly on Cat that as soon as Wolfie shows a shoulder of the window peak, he's just gone. Like, there is no trade offered. There's no way you're getting that kill. it's these slight micro things, these micro positions, the slight ways he moves himself, the places he puts himself in. They're so good. And it's subconscious too. That's not something you're gonna get out of
it's just
anybody
experience
else
at this point. Literally, the term experience. Bro's been in every position fathomable more times than many people have loaded up a game in general.
But...
No, maybe not upper.
Unless you meant the other kind of position.
I meant positions in like around, just physically around the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like 2v1 in this situation, 3v1 in this situation, yada yada yada. Either way. We are very, very silently up through E-Box right now, and Tender is not long for this world as a result when there's such a firing squad on the other side.
They got the stack here this time, but right now, Nouns are just running through it. I mean, 2 unanswered picks on a 3-man B defense. That is harsh. And Nouns are not going to make it any easier on you as the time ticks forward. There's still a smoke that they're going to use to aid their escape. There's still these dualies that haven't been answered for, sure, but... there's a couple of crossfires in the works. Rush, again, look at that. Just staying patient, knows how to play around this site, and almost ends up not getting that trade. That could have been Seb's way back into a Limitless round, but instead, it ends the way as it should have. Another in the books for Nouns. Maybe a couple of kills on top. Whipped cream on your milkshake, I guess. I don't know.
Wiz and Wolfie have been a little bit silent for me to be at the top of the board in the way that they are. Like, silent in not a bad way, just like...
impact.
Yeah, it's just like you don't really see them for every kill that they get, right? So they've almost like Device silent 30 bombed in a sense, if that makes if you've ever seen one of those. Where Device kind of just gets like 2 kills every round and like a 3K and like a 1K, and you're like, oh my god, wait, Device is like 30 and 12 right now. That's how many more times I can count when I see those.
Bro.
Like way too many times.
You know, what's the last movie you saw?
The last movie that I saw, The Green Book.
Yeah, you know, you asked me. The Green Book?
Yeah, it's a movie about I think I could be wrong with the time period. I think it's the 1950s, and it's like heavy segregation, right? And there's this piano player in a group in a band, and they're very, 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 very high end, right? Like they play for like snob people, and he needs a driver for his road trip, his tour or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this like Italian, like, hey yo, it's me. His name's Tony. Funny enough, he's like,
I see why you watched it.
Yeah, he's his driver, and they like learn a lot about each other, but like from opposite sides. So he's like trying to like be himself, and he's trying to like suppress his like African American culture because he doesn't like it because all it does is like get him treated poorly, you know. But he's like very high end himself, like he's a snob, and they won't let him eat at like the restaurants or like stay at the hotels with the people, and it's crazy. It's a really good movie. You should watch it.
I went through this phase of kind of like watching a ton of random, like really classic movies just to really expand my arsenal, make sure I was caught up to date on the culture. But not a lot of culture going on here. It is quite the tech pause it seems we've unwinded ourselves into. So we're going to throw things to a break instead of rambling your ear off about some weird movies you probably never heard of. When we come back, hopefully we're ready to conclude Anubis. So, some unfortunate news. As you can see on the left, they are out of pause time on the side of Limitless for technical issues that we have unfortunately seen them go through throughout the series. So, 4v5 they play as they're unable to field a fifth under the current, or rather, terms and little legalities of the league. So, it's unfortunate the way it unwinds. I don't really know how to segue beyond that because it's not been an amazing round thus far. A trade is not what you're looking for.
No, this is less than ideal. That's what we'll say. Yeah. Not the situation you want to find yourselves in. No hope for a sub now. Picking apart little by little on every facet of the map. Limitless will have to do. As Nouns do get this one. The B side, but in a 2 versus 2 of all things, and a spam through the smoke, keeping it honest in a 1v1, and now having to clear a multitude of angles. It's actually going to be the MP9 to come out on top of 4v5. They've done it on the first round attempt.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not? Obviously, like, you know, my brain likes to jump to conclusions after one round is taken. Yep. But imagine, right? I'm just throwing it out there. Flirting with it a little bit. What if, you know?
No.
No? Oh, well. I tried. And so did Nouns. Doesn't seem to have mattered all that much, though. They find themselves still on the winning end of an 8-7 score, but not for long, potentially, if they let another slip like that. And, well, doesn't seem like they're too headstrong to do so. This time, it's not even a trade. It's not even a 1-for-1. It's just Seb falling and a clean opening engagement for Nouns that doesn't even leave a scratch on them. Another smoke in B main trying to prolong the inevitable, but they're ready to burst as soon as that fades.
5v3, surely the conversion comes through Anthran. I don't really see a world without this one slip. It's 2 MP9s to be able to stop them, and it's not exactly a whole army. And now they know that they're out here. At least 2 players for the T side. May as well stack up all 3. Here it comes. The boom. They've got another smoke and another molly to keep them out from B for a little while longer, though. Molly's been thrown in a different direction. The smoke not to be deployed. It's Wiz hoping to kill all 5 from this point forwards. And he's got so many bodies all around him. That's going to be it. 9.
I like the way you phrased that. Hoping to kill all 5 from this point forward. I don't know why, but it was funny. But what's not so funny is the current thing Limitless have to go through. I'd be quite irate.
Already playing with 8 games with a stand-in. 2 stand-ins, excuse me.
How about without one of the players? 2. You know, not enough.
How about we blindfold you?
How about we just take your mice, you know? You move your mouse with your arrow keys, and you, like, hit shift or something to swap between... No, because even that wouldn't work. I think you saw what I was cooking up. Anyhow.
I smell what you're cooking. Man. Yeah, this is just melt. Just melt.
Like my ice cream. Every time I go to the parlor, it just melts. I'm a slow eater.
Are you? Actually?
No, not at all. I typically am like the first guy to finish my food and then just to instantly start telling people it's time to go, bro.
Are you actually? You're awful.
Oh, of course. Like, I sit down, you know, we're at a restaurant. I finish my food in like 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, bro, you ready to go? No, he says, with half a plate full of food still.
I am a really slow eater, like terribly slow. But eating up the competition right now are Nouns. And there isn't very much of it. One less than typically you'd find. It's an appetizer, not the full main course that Limitless were hoping it to be. Serving up a slider with the 3 M4s and a FAMAS.
Right now. Not really much to it. Just feels like it's $30,000 worth of sides. And they don't seem to be curing very much of anything, let alone the sorrows of Limitless. So, again, sending CJ in their one-man army, maybe to try and work away a kill or another big opener. You don't entirely need it, but I mean, 5-on-4, well, that's manageable. 3-on-5 absolutely isn't. They both just stared at the flash. All right, Seb just gets 2 kills back because why the hell not? And this is around all of a sudden. Still only 1 person in defense of the
nice spray.
Tender doesn't stay with it. Junior, as you said, illuminates the feed again. Not even on the off. Uh-oh. Overstepping their boundaries a little bit. Junior, way too spicy for the pepper.
What? Except from Temple, there's a nade in front of him in which he will take substantial damage from. Not life-threatening to 1 bullet territory. 2 will still have to do, and it's Wolfie who's going to have to do a majority of the weightlifting now. The bench is pressed and Seb lay flat, and they've gotten it up to 11 now. The score, even still coming down to pretty deep stages of these rounds, must be said.
And you only wonder in so many of these rounds if Limitless could have taken it.
What
right?
did you mean when you said that pepper thing?
It was a reference
to
American Dad.
Oh.
I drop a lot of references.
Okay.
You didn't hear the X amount of dollars worth of sides?
No, I didn't understand that one either.
$26,000 worth of sides?
I don't know what sorry, I don't know what that was.
You haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
That was like years ago, and I was probably not in a frame of mind to remember everything, but right now, trying to forget this one is Limitless, I can only as they can't really manage to cobble together enough kills for pistols, but the A1S, hold on. What the hell? The P2000, pull George, please! I gotta get that kill. And eventually reins it in with 9 HP to leave his teammates into it, maybe able to retrieve the gun.
I'm glad I just came to the realization in an eco round. Because, man, that'd have been a devastating blow to take on a rifle in multiple senses. Oh, wait, this ain't over. Tender's got other things to think of right now, and the only person on the site defense is on 9 HP. Never mind. Might be all she wrote or not. Wiz, HE, AK. Hold on a moment, because they've just exchanged utility. It's not planted for him, and that's where Wiz is going to take a little bit of an advantage, but only for a time. There's no kit. You don't have a lot to work with, and yeah, all of it ends well. It's 12-7. Nouns, to be fair, it was map we expected him to win. Unfortunately, the going gets tough, and it doesn't seem that's going to change.
One more to go. Double up setup. Whip it out, boys. May as well. We're getting a little bit jiggy with it. We're getting crazy up in the stands right now, calling for the snipers to come down from the top ropes, and they're looking to finish it off in style at the very least. Have a little bit of fun with it. Wiz on his send-off game, pulling out the big green one last time, perhaps, Anthran. We'll see what he can do with it.
I don't know how much, considering it seemed for a moment they were going to set up Rush. They already tried to set up Wiz. Right now, it seems to be a trap, or not. Wiz. This is the way to get things back to a 4-on-4. At least how you can make it even. Stevens, what a shot on Junior, and he's going back for more. Trade potentially offered as Tender looks to take the exact space his teammate just fell in. Nice, great response. Talked earlier about how he's not typically the one showing up in the star sheet, but now he is. Carson drops the bomb, though, rather than
good flash.
I guess he is somewhat credited for it, but makes this a lot more confusing.
They're going to regroup. They're going to come in together, I think, from the bottom side. Canals is where they want to end up. Wolfie still sending utility into their direction and locking them out of mid with that smoke, very least. Rushing the other end. Their options slow. They don't have the bomb. I didn't even realize. I don't know if you were saying that and I just tuned you out, but I literally must have just tuned you out, but smoke blown. It won't really even come to matter. Seb, one of them using the sniper rifle, not their primary, but still finding that first. Maybe an attempted another with the C4 still laid to rest. A player to his right. Clothesline, 13-7, and that will conclude the season for 2 of the 5 Limitless players being stand-ins, Wiz and Tender. They'll be thanked for their services in this long of a time, in this stretch of these 8 games, but soon, Cyrus and Sandman will return to the active roster, but Nouns take the dub 2-0 tonight.
Again, you said before, it's a team where you kind of hope they've been playing with their starting 5 in the offlines or in their own spare time. I didn't expect to see this one go all the way for Limitless. Neither of us did. It was a nice fight when they were all here, and they even got around when they were 4-on-5. Hell, they even almost got 2. But still doesn't seem to change much in the fact that it was Nouns' game to lose from the get-go. And it still sucks to leave with that asterisk of, what does this really look like if we have the full 5 on Limitless? Hell, not even the non-stand-ins. Like, even with the stand-ins, they were putting up a pretty good fight. Again, though, didn't seem to be enough. I mean, even though Junior wasn't the star of the show here, still had his impact.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, not that you can't, but you're never really the star of the show in a 4v5 if you're the AWPer. Like, if you're the AWPer and this is a situation where you're playing a man down, the rifles are always going to be taking that first point of contact and typically walking away with 1, if not 2, before you even get the chance to post. This isn't really a map where you're going to be going for any insane opening picks for anywhere other than maybe E-Box. And even then, there was no AWPer on the other team with all the money in the pockets of the CTs that he was ever going to come into contact with to find those picks. But even still, it's fine. His team did exactly what they had to get him across the line.
And Nouns do what they do best, win, and do it pretty damn good. Limitless end off 0-8 after the current standings go, and they've got one hell of a bounce back to look for in the rest of the season. Still plenty of it to go, however. It's only the beginning for ECL Season 48, and I'm sure Limitless are happy to know that there's still plenty of time left to recover. For now, though, that's all we've got for you tonight. We'll see you guys later with some more ECL.